Joe Biden goes down to Florida, and he gets caught on tape in this weird moment talking to, I think it was a Democratic mayor of one of the cities down there. And people sort of put their lip readers on it, and everybody's determined that what he actually said in this following clip, it's very short, was no one F's with a Biden. But he said the F word. Here it is.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for coming down. We appreciate it. By the way, keep the food.
You raised some. No one fucks with Biden.
Yeah, goddamn right.
and you can't argue with your brothers outside the house.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
He says that last line was, you can't argue with your brothers outside the house. What on earth? I don't know what's happening there, but to me it's interesting. He's, engaging in a machismo moment. He's trying to get his swagger on, says something about where he's been mentally for the past couple days or weeks.
That was honestly like a scene from a Martin Scorsese movie. The big boss goes down to Florida and meets up with another of the families and wants to make himself clear. That's very, very strange. And look, the president's very, very strange. But I think he's done a good job here. And I think he should be praised for it. This has been a good moment for America. And as a Floridian, I'm pleased by it. The governor
people are
of
shocked
Florida,
by the fact that they've been working together so well, Biden and DeSantis.
Yeah. I've written a bunch about this because this has driven me crazy. And in fact, I wonder whether it's annoyed Biden, because maybe that's what that clip's about. Maybe he's trying to get back his sense of control. But, the way this has been covered in the press is really irritating to me. We have political disagreements because we're a free country. So people are going to disagree profoundly with each other on fundamental questions. What should we do in the realm of war and peace? How high should taxes be? How much government spending should we have? What balance should there be between the federal and state governments? We're all going to disagree, and we should. But the idea that because people disagree, and in particular because Governor DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and President Biden, who's the executive within the federal government, disagree on ideological matters, that they shouldn't work together on hurricane relief, or that it's somehow hypocritical for them to work together on hurricane relief, or that it's surprising for them to work together on hurricane relief, is really odd. Because there is no great ideological difference in this country when it comes to hurricanes. We're all pretty much opposed to hurricanes, and we're all pretty much in agreement as to how we deal with them, which also makes the analogy I've seen in some quarters with coronavirus moot. We know what we want and need to do when a hurricane strikes. There is a federal role and there is a state role. And a functioning system, a system that is not a banana republic, is one in which people who disagree with one another profoundly on a whole bunch of moral and political questions can work together. And it's really nice that that's what we've seen. I mean, to the extent that our politics have been put aside, yesterday we had dogs and cats living together. Joe Biden said that DeSantis had done a good job, and Donald Trump said DeSantis had done a good job. And I think DeSantis has said that Biden has done a good job, and he's got everything he needed from the federal government, which is how it should be. Right. So there's this weird reporting, whereas, right up until the hurricane, DeSantis was pretty critical of Biden. Yeah, and I'm sure he will be afterwards as well. It's just completely irrelevant to dealing with Hurricane Ian.
It's a natural disaster. I mean, we've always come together in the wake of these and tried to put partisanship aside. And then if somebody falls down on the job, like Bush after Katrina, there will be a pile on. But that didn't happen here. So thankfully, the system's working as it was designed to work. And so as I've watched that happen, the media's tried to blame Lee County on DeSantis a bit. You didn't see it coming. He's like, no one saw it coming. The cone shifted. You, the media, weren't there either. But so as that fell apart, they've shifted to, it's your own votes against climate change that made this happen. Like, you put Florida in a worse position to battle all of this because you voted against big dough that would have helped fight climate change. And what they mean in particular is the Inflation Reduction Act, the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, and so on. Here's the New York Times, all right? October 4th, Florida's GOP leaders opposed climate aid. Now they're depending on it. All right, this is by Christopher Flavel and Jonathan Weisman of the New York Times. Hurricane Ian's wrath made clear that Florida faces some of the most severe consequences of climate change anywhere in the country. Oh, it did? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw the head of NOAA saying that's not at all what it shows, and that there's been no increase in frequency or severity of hurricanes as a result of climate change. But the Times would like us to believe, as a matter of fact, that the hurricane has made clear Florida faces some of the most severe consequences of climate change anywhere in the country. But the state's top elected leaders opposed the most significant climate legislation to pass Congress, laws to help fortify states against and recover from climate disasters, going on to talk about, as I mentioned, the so-called Inflation Reduction Act and others. And then they hit DeSantis for blocking the state's pension fund from taking climate change into account when making investment decisions, because DeSantis took the position that politics should be absent from financial calculations. So because DeSantis doesn't want woke ideology to be the basis for state investments, he's getting hit as not in favor of climate change remedies, and therefore the pain and suffering is still his fault.
This is extremely sloppy thinking from start to finish. I mean, even if you believe that the bills in question would have had a material effect on the strength of hurricanes, which I think is a stretch, they wouldn't have done it that quickly, would they? And if you look at the way that these examples are set up, the one that's doing the rounds at the moment is that Hurricane Ian is likely to be the most deadly to hit Florida since the 1930s, which should suggest that this is something that happens in this part of the country from time to time and has done for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. This is so petty. It's petty and irrational. The idea that Congress can micromanage the weather in this way is farcical. And I don't think one has to be completely dismissive of the idea that there is some climate change, and I'm not, to think that. It is a misallocation of responsibility. You know, they're taking somebody who's been governor since 2018. They're taking bills that, if they had any effect at all, would have a marginal effect over a century. And they're trying to draw a straight line. The most annoying one of these I've seen is the claim that DeSantis bears some responsibility for this hurricane because he voted against a climate bill when he was in Congress. Well,
and after Superstorm Sandy in New York.
Right. That bill was full of an extraordinary amount of pork. Mm-hmm. It was a bad bill. And I don't think that it is incumbent upon members of Congress to suck that up each and every time it's put in front of them. I don't think it is reasonable, and this is unfortunately a tendency we're increasingly seeing in our politics, to put worthwhile, valuable items inside another bill that is broadly opposed, and then to say, because you voted against the overall package, you therefore must have disdained everything that was within it. But that's what's happening here. I think that's a game. I think it's a cynical game, and I wish people would stop playing it.
Have you ever had a friend or a family member who's just naturally talented at things? They just pick up a sport or a hobby or a thing, and they immediately become good at it. They make it look so easy. If you don't have that person in your life, it's you. And we're all secretly jealous of you. The good news is, no matter who you are, you can make great food look super easy with Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers sources the highest quality meat in America, and they can prove it. And by the way, you can get it like pre-seasoned, pre-marinated, so they make you look good with very little effort on your part. Each piece of Good Ranchers meat is from real American farms and hand-cut and trimmed by real American workers. They only source from farms that meet their high standards of excellence, which means no antibiotics ever, no added hormones. Good Ranchers is so confident in the quality they sell that they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee on every box they ship to you. Plus, you can use my code, MEGYN, Megyn, to get free shipping and $30 off your first order. This is America's best meat and seafood sold by some of America's best people. They have won awards like Best Food Subscription, but their mission remains the same, bringing everyone to the table to share in the best of what makes life good. If you want the best, go with Good Ranchers. Visit goodranchers.com/Megyn and save on American meat delivered right to your door. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.